wouldn't support doing that. I'm not going to bully them into accepting my priorities. I'll let them set their own.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Delaney?
I don't view it as bullying anyone. I think you're relieving a parent of a burden and a conflict. And we're talking about 2 nights out of 365 days a year. So the fields are open pretty much from March through November. And if we're talking about 2 nights, it's not a bully tactic, but I think you're relieving a parent of a burden or a conflict between, do they send their child to whatever athletic event there is and not be able to attend town meeting, or worry about picking the child up, getting to town meeting? You eliminate that completely, and it's 2 nights a year. We're not shutting down the park for a week, a month,
And not even all day.
season.
It's just during the time of town meeting.
It's the evening.
From
It's
7
essentially
o'clock to whenever we get done.
Right.
And usually they're off our parks by dusk anyway, so I'm not saying shutting it down all day. I'm not saying I'm not trying to act like this is Russia here. I'm just if we're serious about what Mrs. Castro's proposing, then I think we should consider doing that.
And if I believe we as a board in general are all in support of our form of government, which is town meeting, we should look to have greater participation at town meeting, not less or restrictive attendance at town meeting. And this is a way we could potentially accomplish it. So
I
would
don't
be
like
in
this
support
idea
of-
either, but I agree with what Mr. Delaney's saying is, if we're trying to maximize participation, this is something we can consider. I'm not even saying we should do it. When Bob asked the question, we can do it. I think we have the right to do it. I'm not saying whether I agree we should do it or not, Steve. I was just proposing that we can, not proposing, I'm just stating an answer to his question. We can do that.
I coached my kids 3 sports a year, all year round, member of the board, just like you guys are, and I made some choices. I made the choices. Yeah, I had conflicts all the way along for years, but I had to make some choices, and I'm an adult, so let me make the choice. You know, yeah, I can make it a little easier, but I'm not going to do it at the expense of shutting down public facilities to make it easier to make your decision, make your choice. Whatever your priorities are, they are. And, you know, we all have to make choices in life. But I'm not going to impose that type of a draconian measure, shut down things, you know, so people can make an easier choice.
I don't see it as draconian. Once again,
Oh,
it's
for crying out
2
loud.
evenings a year out of 365 days a year.
One's too
It's
many.
not.
One's
I
too
don't-
many.
well,
Mr. Chair.
we disagree, and I don't
Okay,
like the
that's fine.
phraseology you use.
Well, I'm
as
sorry, that's the way
draconian
I'm
and
taking
bullying.
it, though. That's
I
the way
don't
I'm
view it.
looking at it.
Let's keep it,
No, I'm just saying, he's putting those words, he's
Those are
suggesting
my
that.
words and my impression.
Right, but you're suggesting that what I am
Agreed.
supportive of is draconian bullying, and I'm suggesting to you, it's not at all. So,
Mr.
well, I
Chair.
tell you what, I can't believe we're going down this street here
Yeah.
on this issue. I really can't. I mean, you know, this is like, next thing you know, we'll be telling people they're going to be fined if they don't show up at town meeting. You know, I mean, this is ridiculous. You know, we have grown-up people that live in town. If they want to come to town meeting, they'll come to town meeting. They want to go vote, they're going to go vote. Right? I have no problem reminding them that town meeting's on these dates. And I have no problem with the board going public and suggesting to everybody that they put their other activities aside and come to town meeting. But that's about as far as I'm willing to go.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
if I may. You know, this all started with a positive suggestion by Mrs. Castro and followed by a positive response, and now we wound up into an argumentative environment, and
Discussion.
that kind of boggles my mind at this point. I think we can send a good message. I think we can send correspondence in request form to whomever we want to in this community, and ask that they honor this suggestion. And I think that's the positive route to go, and I think that will go a lot further. That will go a lot further than saying you can't do this. I think that's I'm a positive person. Okay, it'll go a lot further that way when we get the heads of all the sports programs and school activities and whomever this impacts, get them behind it like we're behind it, you're going to get a positive response on it. That's the way I see that.
Mr. Chair.
Mrs. Castro, since you started this all, we'll allow you to finish it.
Okay,
It's a good dialogue and it's a good discussion. I don't see it as argumentative, all right?
and it has come up before. So, in closing, I would respectfully request that when you make a decision about the dates tonight, that you will seriously and very respectfully consider what communication and how quickly you can get it out in cooperation with the superintendent, the Parks and Rec Department, with youth sports, and even with religious education counterparts. I found the dates of June and October town meeting in the St. Teresa's calendar. I did not find them on the town website, nor did I find them on the school website. I'm working with the school department to clear some of these barriers and offer homework-free nights for the same reasons. You can't ask citizens in North Reading United for Education or make us feel uncomfortable that we're not getting enough people in the seats if you don't help us remove the barriers to get there.
Can I ask Ms. Castro a question about the school committee meetings, if she was there?
Sure.
Is the school committee going to not allow people to have access to the buildings on town meeting nights?
You know what, I didn't ask that specific question, but I'm happy to do a follow-up tomorrow and ask something like that. I have no problem with asking.
Just curious, thank you.
Okay. I'm going to close the public hearing. And Deanna, one reason maybe the town meeting dates are not in the town calendar is that we're voting on the dates this evening.
It's in January, yeah.
So,
Ready for me to read the
Mr.
motion?
Prisco.
Sure. Mr. Chairman, in accordance with the Town of North Reading, Chapter 2-4-1, I move to set the dates for the 2012 town meeting as follows: June 4th, 2012, October 1st, 2012.
Motion by Mr. Prisco, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Now, we have to vote to schedule a special town meeting and election at the for the Middle and High School project. Sean is the liaison. You want to report the wishes of the
Sure.
committee?
The wishes of the Secondary School Building Committee are to schedule our special town meeting for Monday, March 19th, followed by special election on Saturday, March the 24th. The large part of the reason that those dates were requested is due to a construction schedule that has already been put in place by our project manager and our architect. And in order to stay on that schedule, a large part of that is moving modulars while the students are out of the building. This will keep us hopefully on track with that schedule with a positive special town meeting followed by approval at the special election. So those are the dates that they would suggest that we adopt. And I'm supportive of that.
Mr. Beliconis, want to comment on the dates from the point of view of
They fit
Town
right
clerk?
fit right into the calendar that you have for February in terms of signing the warrant and then also approving the ballot question. So we're fine.
there are no issues, and we have enough time to get the language squared away for the warrant article
We do indeed.
and
As a
the
matter of fact,
ballot question.
I understand in speaking with Selectman Delaney that the MSBA has model language that they wish us to utilize for the town meeting article, and I'll be working with Selectman Delaney and Town Council to put that together.
We'll be voting on that on
The next meeting?
our next meeting.
Correct.
Is that language what was included in the supplement?
No.
Somewhat, but I'd like to
it's-
get the
fine.
exact language
Yep.
per MSBA.
That's fine.
There's also the matter, of course, we're waiting for the vote.
Well, we did receive confirmation, MSBA does have us on their agenda for this Wednesday at their monthly board meeting.
Well,
Yes,
So-
and that was confirmed at the MSBA booth when I stopped by, and I think, did you talk to them while you were there too?
Same thing.
Same thing. So we're on track, keeping our fingers crossed on that. We'll talk about the financials in a minute. Any other comments, public, on those dates? I see our cheerleaders over there and
One question.
Mrs. Castro.
This is not a question, it's a ditto. Once you make the final decision about the dates tonight, if you would, again, work with your peers and colleagues to communicate as soon as possible about the importance of clearing calendars and prioritization of these dates, I'd very much appreciate it.
You? So,
That would be fine, but generally, $107, $108 million piques people's interest.
yeah,
we're gonna-
I think
You
we're
never
gonna
know.
have, I think we'll have plenty of people attending. That raises the priority.
any other comments before I ask for a motion? Mr. Prisco?
Mr. Chairman, I move to call a special town meeting for Monday, March 19, 2012, at 7 p.m. at the North Reading High School, Park Street, and further to schedule a special election for March 24, 2012, for the purpose of voting a debt exclusion question for the middle/high school project.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Prisco, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. Mr. Yule?
Yes. To take off on what Mrs. Castro is suggesting, how are we going to notify those who we should notify with regard to, we know it's going to be in the newspaper and all that kind of stuff, but are we considering sending a direct piece of correspondence to the directors of all these sports programs and whomever? Are we amenable to that? I would think it would be a good idea. That would be my suggestion. I mean, right now, we basically just nodded our head to Deanna, that's all we did. We just said, you know, we came up with no
Not gonna shut things
avenue.
down.
We had no avenue to communicate. We've not agreed or talked about no avenue to communicate this idea.
I think it's a valid point. I'd be supportive of a letter or a memo from this board to every youth organization in town strongly suggesting that they curtail activities on Monday, March 19th, special town meeting, as well as Saturday, March 24th for our special election. I think it's important. This is a project that, unlike any other project this community probably has ever attempted to undertake or may ever undertake again. And we have one opportunity to see this through. And we have 120 days to do it from March 25th. And it's such an important project for us to consider that I think that's at a minimum what this board can do is send a letter to each organization with a strong suggestion to curtail activities on that evening, March 19th, and the Saturday, March 24th.
Well, the Saturday, you're open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. You know, that's
True,
all day- that's all
but
day,
it can't
so,
hurt.
you know, make it aware of that day, but particularly Monday night.
It more really falls to the situation with town meeting more than it does to,
We send in a memo, we put in both dates.
I think the board has an obligation to provide facts,
Because there's a
Present
lot of
and make
tournaments
sure
on a
that-
Saturday that are outside of this
make
town.
sure that the public is informed of those specific dates. And I think I'd go so far as to suggest that they adjust their schedule such that people are allowed, will find time to participate in these programs, on these two very special events. I wouldn't go any further than that.
I'm fine with that.
And again, maybe, again, we know who utilizes space here in Town Hall because they come and they sign up for the time. So we know which youth organizations, whether it be the cheerleading, whether it be the youth basketball, that use town-owned facilities. And we may want to do something in conjunction with the school department under a joint letter urging people to.
That'll work.
And that way, then it would create one master list for
Sure.
future communication.
I'm in favor of that. Do we have a consensus? Do we need to take a vote?
As far as any other, but, I mean, recreation knows who they, I mean, and we're talking about March, so it's generally youth basketball, cheerleading. far as the youth stuff. Again, school department would have the list of